Look at that, running smooth. Burns like a kitten now. That's what you get for having, well, it wouldn't be called an accident. I had the bike parked, and someone backed into it, and I took a swan dive into the deep end. I actually had it parked not on the side stand, but on the center stand. Someone backed into it, knocked it over. I knocked it over on this side, and just broke all kinds of cosmetic damage. You know, broke lights. You can see here. I'll have to get this fixed. Actually, I'm going to tape it together. Bent this all the heck. Broke the side thing off of here. It's not even there anymore. And this was banged up. But this is kind of saved it. The mirror was put aside, cracked and scratched the screen. But what I was mainly concerned about was the integrity of the cylinder, because it landed right on the cylinder. It didn't even hit the guard there. And I was worried about that. And it sat for a long time on its side, which meant the oil dripped into it for a long time. And I really had a hard time getting started. It was filled up with oil, and I was worried that it was damaged. But it's been 3 days since this happened, and I've been taking it out regularly, and it's actually running better now than it did before. It felt like it was in need of a tune-up before. It's like the getting knocked over tuned it up. What's more, it rides straight. It used to be that when I would ride no hands, yeah, I do that sometimes, it would kind of pull to one side. Remember, this is a salvage bike. It was wrecked by somebody else. That's why I got it so cheap. It would pull to one side. But now, it's like if I was riding no hands, I'd kind of have to lean to the side and so it would go. But because it's got a cruise control on it, you can put it on the cruise control. Set the cruise control here, and then just ride no hands if you want. Not that I do that regularly, but it's kind of fun sometimes. Anyway, now it doesn't pull anymore. Hitting on the side like it seemed to straighten something up, and now it's straight. So difficulty can break you up, but make you a little better in some ways, I guess. Likewise, this transition from Japan to the United States, I thought I'd stop and give you guys an update of my family status. Well, let's see. It's been they arrived. My wife and daughter arrived on Friday. What the heck? and cue the Christopher Cross. Stop that. And okay. It's been a little bit hard getting started, and I knew that was going to be the case. We all did. First of all, my wife and I had done this before. I believe that this first year of getting here, which is really kind of it's going to be like a 3-year thing before we're really back on our feet, because it's the first year to find the job, second year to get the family over here, everybody here together, and the third year to acclimate. And that's what we're doing right now. First 48 hours were tough, especially for Yumiko with the jet lag. We're older. I had the same thing when I first got here. The first 48 hours, oh my gosh. And it harkened back. That's part of the reason I want to make these videos, because the memories just kind of zip away. Let me get away from that drill sound. The memories just die away if you don't have something some way to capture them. So I guess I will continue this playlist. I was tempted to stop at the reunion video and just let it go, but there's more to capture. So the first 48 hours were tough with the jet lag. That's over with, and they're better now. But now we've got other challenges. The most interesting being the fact that I didn't expect to. Basically, it took everything to get us all over here, all of our reserves. I guess the biggest lesson that I've learned, if I was ever to do this again, I would recommend, if you're going to move your family from, let's say, from Japan to the United States, and no one's going to help you, I wouldn't do it again without at least $15,000 to $20,000 in the bank, U.S. dollars in the bank, to finance this thing. The incidental expenses, which I couldn't even, if you pressed me, I'd have a hard time itemizing them, have just consumed everything. Because I came over with the idea, because I've got a good job, I came over with the idea that my monthly salary would finance everything, that I would just simply, because we lived on so little in Japan, that the excess that we'd have here would build up, and the wife and daughter would arrive, and we'd have a significant nest egg to use, or a good nest egg to use to jumpstart our lives here, and to buy furniture and all the like. Turns out that the good living that I have barely, it wasn't enough. Thank gosh for Lyft. I mean, I would have crashed without Lyft, literally. And Lyft pulled us through, and will probably continue to pull us through for a while. My wife, we and I are in agreement. We don't want her to find a job until Emily is settled. So that's our number one. We talked about this. I actually sat down with Emily and we talked about this. Oh, bunnies! And they're all over the place. And we were talking about how getting her settled and acclimated is the most important. And then I can do the heavy lifting, so to speak, between my main job and my side job with Lyft. And more bunnies. There's just bunnies hopping all over the place in this park. So I kind of went off on two things, A recommendation that if you're in this position, get a good nest egg set up before you do this, which is tough to do. I wanted to do that when I was in Japan, but the problem was I just couldn't get ahead in Japan. Even with my wife working, we could never get ahead. So I don't know how that would do that. I guess the thing is, if you're in that position, then plan to do it with some help, or don't do it. Okay, here's the other factor that makes our situation a little bit different. Yumiko and I have this philosophy that if we're going to start from scratch, it's going to be hard, and we're going to do it and pick the best community we possibly can. Community is vital to us. It's very important to us that we live in a good community, because the ambiance, that's not the right word, the atmosphere, the character of the community reflects greatly on the quality of life. And it's not about the trappings of success, big houses and cars and stuff like that. It's more about the state of mind of the people that surround us, where we live, the values that they have. We want to be in a place, and particularly we want our daughter to grow up in a place where people who share our values, which place emphasis on integrity and honesty, education. We like a collegiate environment, college town, inquiry. We're not interested in tradition so much, or protocol as much as challenge and values that place emphasis on keeping a beautiful park like this, for example. Keeping things orderly and nice, safe. So when we first came back from Japan to America back in 1992, abiding that philosophy, we chose, of all the places we could have chosen in California, we chose Santa Barbara, California. Which, if you're familiar with California, that's about as expensive as it gets. It's a very, I wouldn't use the word elite, but it is a bit of an elitist community. We went there with literally with nothing, and dug ourselves a home in Santa Barbara from scratch. Now, it was much easier than we were younger. That's key to it too. It's much harder now, and we've done basically the same thing now. We've chosen Irvine in Orange County. Orange County alone is a pretty exclusive place. Irvine then is even more so. But the difference is, we thought we could easily do it again, given how we pulled it off in Santa Barbara. The reality is it's not as easy to do at 50 as it was at 28. So there's that. So maybe what I'm saying for others who are thinking about coming back doesn't quite apply if you choose someplace a little more realistic than this. Because in good measure, it is the expense of this community that has done it. Now, the good news is that our budget will accommodate this lifestyle. We can afford to live here. We can afford to live here as soon as we get on our feet. The trick is getting on our feet, and getting on our feet without crashing, which we've come close to doing a couple of times. But so that's kind of okay. They're dealing with the budgetary elements, the challenges of it all. Back to the point of adaptation. Yumiko's back on her feet. She had to get over that jet lag. And my gosh, she's such a trooper. She's such a rock. Like I said, I was hoping we'd have more money to be able to get furniture and stuff. And by the way, I'm not asking for furniture. I don't like when I talk about these things, I'm not asking for people to solution problems for me. I like to solution problems myself, and people are welcome to share their ideas, but I'm not asking for it, and I certainly don't want help. I'm just sharing the reality of it. So, but Yumiko's a trooper in that capacity. She is able and willing and encouraging, and just buckling under and finding our way through. So I've got my partner again. That's the great thing. For 14 months I was alone on this end, and she was alone on that end. We're a team now. We nothing can stop us now. I'm confident that we'll be okay. The next month will be a challenge, though. Okay, so the other end, here's an interesting one. I was struggling for a way to describe this. I think I'd come up with it to describe it as, this is regarding our daughter. Emily's doing okay, by the way. She's adapting. She's really enjoying the adventure of it all, it seems. She loves her room. She's decorated, even though she hasn't got much. We're all sleeping on the floor. She seems to be okay with that. I sat down with her and had a long talk with her about everything, but more about that later, maybe. But anyway, we took her to her school yesterday, and I hadn't quite grasped just how anxious she was about the school. Or anxiety isn't, no, anxiety would be the right word. She's experiencing anxiety, but it's that anxiety that's not that gnawing, deep anxiety. It's more of that cerebral anxiety of kind of like borders on confusion, uncertainty, doubt. And I talked to her about it, and it turns out, and my wife about it too, and it turns out that she's suffering from a misapprehension about Americans, even though she is an American. She has this idea, and she shared this. Apparently, this idea was shared with her fellows at school. Disproportionate idea, which is not surprising, actually, now that you think about it, because a lot of Americans suffer the same delusion, the same misunderstanding about the Japanese. For example, many in the West, you encounter people all the time when I tell them that I live in Japan or I'm married to a Japanese who say, oh, the Japanese are also polite, or they're also smart, or they're so diligent, thrift, all these things, which they're speaking to qualities that are indeed true. These are characteristics of the Japanese, but it would be wrong to generalize all Japanese in that way. It's just, these are the things that we see from a distance as Americans, as foreigners looking at the Japanese. And now I'm realizing that my daughter and her peers and her generation perhaps view Americans the same way. They view American teenagers as loud, aggressive, outgoing, and perhaps a little bit thoughtless or careless with regard to the emotions of others, all of which can probably be said to be true to a lesser degree. These are the things that are exaggerated in movies and TV and the like, and some of the experiences that they have. If you meet your average American, they are a bit loud. They are a bit boisterous and maybe self-centered and aggressive. But like I sat down with her yesterday and I explained to her, I said, anywhere you go, Japan, America, or wherever, you're going to meet some people who are very, 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 very nice. Some people who are a little bit shy, some people who are funny and outgoing, and you're going to meet some assholes too. And they're all going to be there in various degrees, and some people have mixtures of all of that in them. The trick is to find friends, make friends that are a fit for the kind of quality and character that you have. You'll meet some of them, and you'll want to push some away and draw some close. And she seemed to really get it. And I said that she'll find that when she starts school. And yesterday we went to the school, and what really brought this to a head was when we were going into the school, and we met a young girl, a student at the door, and the young woman held the door. The young girl held the door for us, and I said, "Oh, sorry." She said, "No problem." She smiled and held the door for us. We went in. Later, when we got home, Emily told me, she said, "Dad, that girl at the door, she was so nice." And I said, and I realized then that that's what was going on in her mind. And we explained, I said, they're all the types, everything, all the different types. And I said, try to find the ones that are going to be a match for you. So anyway, we took care of her admission stuff yesterday, which included going down to the health district and she got 5 shots to catch up on her immunization, which apparently Japan doesn't immunize quite as much as the United States does. My wife told me an interesting thing. She said some of the diseases of childhood, the less dangerous ones, measles, chickenpox, the other, she says, as Japanese, they just consider that part of childhood to go through those things, whereas in America we tend to immunize for all those things. So she got 5 different shots. And I promised her ice cream, but I ended up going out and doing lifting. We had one lift took me way the heck out to a Diamond Bar, so I was gone all evening, so I promised I'll take her out for ice cream today for all those shots. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see what happens once Emily starts school. Well, we just had, bear in mind, Emily's eager to start school. Now there's only like a month and a half left of the 8th grade, which she is in here. She's finished with the 8th grade in Japan. This is a long video. So she finished with the 8th grade in Japan, but there's only like a month and a half left of it here. And she came here and Emily said, I want to study English. She told us she wants to go to school. So we decided that in lieu of the summer program, or maybe we'll still do some of the summer program, we are going to enroll her in school. And we actually went down, talked to the counselors there at the school, and they recommended the same thing. They even called the district office for an opinion. And the district office recommended, yes, get her into school right away. Help her begin to acclimate, that's very important, and we may be able to get her into the summer school program as well. This will give her a head start rather than waiting until August. Also, this might be a chance for her to make some friends, and very importantly, to realize that Americans, in particular American girls, aren't all that she has in her mind that they are people just like they are anywhere else. So that's what's happening with Emily. She'll have her test on Thursday. She might be starting school on Friday or next Monday. Yumiko, my wife, is studying for her driver's test. It's not a we have her old driver's license from California, so all she has to do is take the written test, pass that, get 3 out of, she only get up to three questions wrong, and she'll be driving. That's our goal for next week, is to get that. She's studying that. Me, I'm doing my lifting to make sure that ends meet. And I sat down with Emily yesterday, and I said, listen, 14 months apart, broke my heart, very, very hard. I said, we need to, as a team, the 3 of us need to get ourselves through the next couple of months. Really, I told her it'll take a year before we'll be back on our feet, really have our place furnished, into a routine, get our savings back up, and all that kind of stuff. And not that I liquidated everything. I still have all my retirement and stuff like that. I didn't touch any of that. Learned my lesson for that, and it's also hard to touch. So get our disposable savings up, our emergency money, all that replenished. If my wife gets a job, wow, even better. We'll be in fine shape once she's working. And a year from now, I think we'll be in really good shape. So I said, bear with me. Papa has to head out and do his thing on weekends and evenings, but we will be to get back on our feet soon enough. So that's the news from not from Lake Wobegon, but from the news from Irvine, California, where my family and I have landed. We're together. We are. I feel like in a way like we've jumped across a chasm. We've reached the other side. We're crouching on the edges right there. We're scrambling. Now we're scrambling to climb up over the edge and to get back on our feet, dust ourselves off, and discover this new world where we're at. And we're still, our feet are dangling. We still need to get ourselves over the edge. So I'll sign off for now. Let's see if my bike will start up. It's running better than I expected, and I think. Yes, it suffered a fall and turned out apparently better for the experience. Let's hope that my family and I will fare as well. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.